You've probably heard of Kabbalah, maybe in passing, maybe in pop culture, maybe wrapped in the language of ancient wisdom. But behind the surface lies a question that people never think to ask. Where did it come from? Because the deeper you look, the more you realize something unsettling. Its origins aren't as clean. In fact, roots of Kabbalah lead to one of the oldest spiritual deceptions in history. Now, according to Google, it's simply described as a body of mystical teachings of rabbinical origins, often based on esoteric interpretation of the Hebrew scriptures. Harmless it seems, but is it? Now, before we go any further, it's important to understand something foundational. Modern rabbinical Judaism, it's not the same faith practiced by the Israelites in the Old Testament. What most people don't realize is that much of modern Jewish mysticism is a fusion of rabbinic teachings, and some of the darkest strands trace back as far as the 10th century BCE. Biblical scripture gives us our earliest clues. Many elements found in Jewish mysticism can actually be tied to the era of King Solomon. Now, this doesn't mean that he authored every doctrine, but rather that some of the earliest writings and traditions emerged from his lifetime. In the book of Proverbs, Solomon's writings are filled with numerical symbolism and references to cosmic order. And in 1 Kings, we see another side of Solomon, one that reveals explicit apostasy. Solomon had hundreds of wives who turned his heart towards other gods, violating the command of Deuteronomy 17:17. This isn't a minor footnote. This is the turning point. The historian Josephus, in the Antiquities of the Jews, writes,
God also enabled him to learn that skill which expels demons, which is a science useful and sanative to men. He composed such incantations also, by which distempers are alleviated.
Now, you put it all together, the picture becomes clear. It's no surprise that mystical texts such as the Sefer HaRazim, the Zohar, the Targum, and the Lesser Key of Solomon all attribute their origins, rightly or wrongly, to Solomon himself. Most people know the Torah as the first 5 books of the biblical canon, but what many people don't realize is that within Jewish mysticism, the Torah also includes the Babylonian Talmud and the Zohar, expanding far beyond the scriptural foundation familiar to most Christians. So if the roots of Kabbalah reach back to the days of Solomon, to a kingdom collapsing under the weight of foreign gods and forbidden wisdom, then the question becomes, how did those ideas survive? And how did they travel across centuries, shaping a belief system that still influences millions today? Because Solomon's fall wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something far more enduring. You see, as Israel moved through exile, captivity, and the rise of rabbinic authority, those mystical threads didn't disappear. They simply wove themselves into new writings, new interpretations, new structures of religious power. And at the heart of that transformation lies a book, not the Bible, but a collection of teachings that would redefine Judaism from the ground up. This brings us to the Talmud.